Hi, you're listening to Boggy Talk, Faith Conversations in the Mud, a resource of Church on Bayshore.
Well, hey, thanks for joining us today for Boggy Talk. How are you all?
Great.
Are you all? Both of you?
Yeah, doing fine.
Good.
We're
We're
rolling.
in the same shirts as last week.
Yeah, okay.
Because we're pre-recording.
That's right.
All
I'm on
right.
vacation as this drops. So,
Okay.
you know.
Yes. And
Yeah.
I am, we just, excuse me, I can't speak apparently in the past hour. Josiah's at college orientation, so Christy is with him, and I'm single dad in this
You're
week.
holding down
That's
the
right.
fort.
Yeah.
Pulling down
It's
the
good.
fort. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's beginning of June and a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
Our next few
Kids
weeks.
are student MFuges.
Yeah,
this
they're
week.
at,
Yeah.
Right now.
Yep,
They're at
that's
MFuge.
right. That's
Yes.
right. We got kids at
I
camp.
could be there
Kids
myself,
clubs are coming?
actually, so we'll see if that happens.
That's right. You might
Oh,
be.
you are like the
might
backup?
be
Are you the
I am
alternate?
the backup,
Oh, okay.
yes.
You might be at
So
MFuge. Time will tell.
We'll see.
Yeah.
But
Thanks
yeah,
for your
In the
willingness to
past,
serve.
I would have said, "Oh, that means you're definitely going," but maybe
Yes.
not.
you
Yes.
never
Yeah.
know.
We're working on it.
The Lord will provide
Yeah.
someone else or myself. So we'll
Yeah.
That's right.
see. But yeah, so for the next few weeks, we are going to be talking about the SBC.
The Southern Baptist Convention.
Yes,
for
if
those
you do not
who
know,
don't know
if
what
you've not
SBC.
grown up with that lingo, all the acronyms.
Yes.
So yeah, the reason why we're doing that is our church is part of the Southern Baptist Convention,
That's
but
right.
Yes.
also, James, you are part of the executive committee.
I am a
Also
member
the-
of
Wow,
the
I feel
executive
so
committee.
privileged to
Oh.
be. I mean, especially, since you walk around the office with an executive committee name
T-shirt.
tag on to remind us all
I
of
do.
your
That's
level
your
of
favorite.
You're the one that's
supremacy.
wearing the.
I am wearing a
Yeah.
freaking
Convention
ham shirt
swag.
from the
There you go.
SBC that's kind
Yeah.
of falling apart.
Yeah.
But
So what does it actually mean being part of the executive
Oh.
committee?
What do you actually do?
Yeah, what do you actually do?
Pull back the curtain.
The executive committee are basically the trustees of the Southern Baptist Convention.
Okay.
Executive convention. Yeah. So
So they're like a board?
yeah, basically
Okay.
we're a board. Yes, and then we're broken up
there's
into
how many?
80 members.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're broken up into, and I think there's like certain amount per state based on how many churches there are in those, or members of churches there are in those states.
So it's kind of like Congress.
I think there's
That's what I was
4
gonna say.
from Florida
like the
or
House of-
5 because we're one of the larger ones.
Oh,
So
okay.
4 or
Wow.
5 from Florida. 5. Yeah, there's 5 of us from Florida.
Okay.
Yeah, and so for 4 to 8 years, or unless if you want to quit, you are kind of involved in making sure what is voted on in the SBC happens.
Okay.
So the budget, overseeing, there's a staff, but like overseeing that staff, working with that staff, there's decisions to be made, referrals to be decided on. We're not, NAM and IMB and all those have their own boards, but we're kind of making sure they're doing what the
Okay.
Southern Baptist Convention has asked them
Everyone's
to
in
do.
alignment.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So it's a couple meetings a year, basically. We're broken up into subgroups. I'm on the one they call the party planning committee because we're the one that we're the one that deals with the actual convention event.
Oh, okay.
So deciding where it's going to be, which is ultimately voted on by the messengers, but helping with that.
What is that? The messengers.
the people that go to the SBC? and
Okay.
vote.
They
Okay.
represent their churches.
Yeah. So
Yes.
yeah, and part of the reason I was willing to be on this is I was nominated, but also our church, is I mean, we're in the top 10, I think,
Yeah.
in our state in terms of amount given in the cooperative program.
Wow.
Top 200 in the country. And so we give a sizable amount of our budget to the cooperative program.
Okay.
So that helps me to think, man, we do need to
Right.
stay tethered to what's
Right,
going
yeah.
on as much as we can.
And for the record, we
part
give
of
8% of our budget to
our, undesignated
yes,
budget, yeah.
exactly, and that's
280.
not counting what's given to church planting, revitalization, and
Yeah.
missions, et cetera. But 8%
Yeah.
goes.
So
to the
it's like
program.
$280,000 this year. Yeah, that's
So
a lot.
every church gets to decide their percentage?
They do.
They
As
do.
long as you give $250 a year, you can be a part of the SBC.
Okay.
Yeah,
And not everybody who's on the executive committee is a pastor.
correct.
It's
yeah.
it's
There's a certain amount of
broad,
lay
yeah.
people, which means
Exactly.
non-ordained.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So you are going to be going to a meeting, but it's the convention meeting.
There
right?
is an executive committee meeting at the Southern Baptist Convention, but yes, the Southern Baptist Convention exists for 2 days, and those 2 days are next week.
Okay.
2 days a year, sorry.
All right. So a lot of you might not know this, but we can see analytics, things like that from the Boggy Talk episodes. And this topic is actually one of our most viewed episodes, anything on the SBC.
Right, yeah.
Which, I don't know, is interesting. Why do we think that is?
I think it's kind of the same principle of, when there's a traffic accident and traffic slows down because it's on the other side of the road and people want to just see. I'm just kidding. I do think.
You're saying it's
I'm just joking. I just think
has been
it has
somewhat
been.
of that.
Okay.
I just think there are, as particularly in the past, every year it seems there's something, but particularly in the past several years, there have been leading up to the convention certain issues. It's kind of different issues each year, but the common threads. And there has been a lot of attention leading up to the convention, particularly in social media and voices going back and forth. There's been contention leading to the convention, different voices representing different perspectives. And so things have been escalated. And truthfully, there's not a lot of people, churches or pastors, just talking about what's going on at the convention.
If you search it,
unbiasedly. As unbiasedly as possible, I should say.
If you search it, you're not going to find a lot. Like I have thought, like, hey, I would like to hear a lot of perspectives on this. I'm like, there's really not a lot out there.
Yeah.
And really, we were started doing this mainly just to keep our church informed of what's going on.
I wasn't on the EC when we.
Yeah. Because we felt like it was valuable for the church to know, hey, this is what's happening at the SBC with the convention. But I do think people just have found it because they've searched for videos or they've searched for podcasts on the Southern Baptist Convention and landed here. So, hey guys. Glad you're tuning in.
That makes sense.
Two guys with big noses opinions of the SEC, and that they found us.
Yeah.
Should I put that as the hashtag?
For those who this is the only time they listen to Boggy Talk is now they're like, oh, who's this lady here? Oh,
yeah. There's a woman.
They must be on that side making assumptions about.
Wrong drift side, so we've lost some followers. Sorry, guys.
Yes. So keep us going, Prophetess Kelly.
That's right.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, so next week we're going to talk a little bit about more of the specific issues that you guys go over at the convention.
Yeah.
But today we're going to talk about the overall tensions in the SBC. So what are they?
I mean, I guess
a list. Yeah,
we have a list. I would say let's start with the first one. The first is there is an overall decline in membership amongst churches in the SBC. I mean, not just churches involved in the SBC, but membership in the SBC. So that is a concern that has been brought up, and there's been people have ideas and thoughts on why, but that would be, I would say, number one.
I mean, when you have any group and the number of people who participate in that group continues to decline somewhat significantly, that's whether that's good or bad, that is something to be reckoned with. That's something that you have to deal with. And so we are seeing more and more churches withdraw from the SBC, and we're also seeing more and more of those churches have less members.
Okay.
Obviously, if you're a part of our church, you're probably like, what? And there are a lot of healthy, growing churches in the SBC, but the overall picture is that there are less in the SBC. And so that has implications financially, just in many ways. So that is a big deal.
Is that like a thing that's discussed?
Yeah, regularly. Yeah. So baptisms are up, but membership is down. Okay. And I think one of the reasons is that Baptist churches, like this church at one point, I think had like 500 people here and 1,800 members. Where now we have like 1,200 people here and like 1,000 members. So we actually have cleaned up our roles to say, okay, these people are not part of our members of our
They've
church.
moved. They're not here. They're no longer alive.
They don't come. Haven't been to anything in 15 years. And so I think there has been a desire for churches to clean that up,
Okay.
There's a lot of things. That's a whole episode in itself right there.
Okay. So decline in membership is one. Another would be maybe the effectual decline of the program itself.
The cooperative program, for sure.
Yeah.
So what do you mean by that, just as far as...
The amount given to the cooperative program. So that is going back to that is what makes a church a cooperating church with the Southern Baptist Convention, is that they give funds to the cooperative program that is then allocated for International Mission Board, the North American Mission Board, for the seminaries, the ERLC, and the executive committee itself. So there are churches, because of the decline in membership, some churches are giving less. Other churches are intentionally giving less. And some of that is because the churches themselves may be more engaged in missions themselves, and so
Yeah.
they don't see the need to give as much to the cooperative program. Others, it's because they don't agree with some of the actions taken, and so they are purposefully withholding or escrowing their cooperative program giving
or diverting it to the IMB directly
to
and
IMB. NAM.
So how ideally it works, the cooperative program budget is $190 million, and that has not been increasing, which means that you're effectively decreasing because inflation has been wild. So that $190 million is given to the executive committee, which then disperses those funds upon the allocations that are agreed upon by the messengers, which is like 51% to NAM or to the IMB, and like I'm messing up right now, 27% to NAM. But what is happening is some churches are saying, well, because we don't agree with what's been happening at the EC, the executive committee, previously, since I've been on there, before I was on there. Anyway, I'm just kidding. But I mean, I really wasn't a part of all that. They're saying, well, we're going to just give directly to IMB. We're going to give directly to NAM. And so it's kind of disrupting the model that has been used for a long time. And then I think he pointed out, and just overall, a lot of giving is going down. When you have churches leaving, they don't do it anymore.
That makes sense.
And I think, and then part of it is even just as a culture, people don't have as much trust in institutions, and so as the congregations age and new leaders come, and they don't have the same affection or affinity towards the cooperative program and leadership in certain churches as generations before. That's a real piece of it.
But to be clear about this, I mean, our state is also, which is very healthy. There's not drama in the Florida Baptist Convention. The cooperative program is down significantly in the state, and that's something to be dealt with. And so, like at one of the last meetings, I'm on our state board as well. I wasn't able to be there, but one of the guys was like, "Hey, at our church, if giving goes down, we start talking about what we're going to cut." And so like the point is that if this doesn't change, things have to change. I mean, if here we started not meeting budget, which is possible, it doesn't mean everything's bad. It just means, I mean, if a recession hit, that's going to happen. But we've got to deal with implications of that.
Well, and what you had said too, I think it also depends on the church of how much emphasis, importance, or even acknowledgement of the program that they have. I know growing up or being in other churches, like that was, they wanted to be known as, Southern Baptist, and they were a part of that, but it maybe wasn't something that was really shared. Maybe the effects of those different organizations and things like that. And so I think each
and I'm
church
conflicted
does it
on that.
differently.
We're in a position where we can give 8% and still do a lot to missions because of the size of our church, where we're at, the demographics, but there are churches that are like, well, we're not able to do our own stuff and engage our members because we're giving 8% or 10% or 5% of the cooperative program. And I get that tension. And I don't think, it's easy for our church to say, well, all churches should be given at least 5%.
Yeah, you can't, because every context is different.
So.
That makes sense. So people, you said maybe that there was a decline in membership. There were some financial implications. What year was it that the kind of the sex abuse? Okay, so 2021, there was the kind of the sex abuse scandal came to light, and so there were a lot of lawsuits, a lot of legal things that are associated with all of that.
I think this is something that people are not clear on. There's always lawsuits going on, and have been for decades. But in 2021, following the Catholic Church's scandal, in the teens, the Houston Chronicle put out an article about sex abuse in the SBC, which wasn't entirely accurate, but also didn't paint the full picture because of the size of the SBC. But either way, did highlight that there have been instances of abuse. At the same time, you have more and more, a few prominent people who are telling their story of sex abuse that happened within Southern Baptist churches or institutions. 2021, something was done about that. Over the next few years, at the SBC and at the executive committee, decisions were made that basically caused the executive committee to have to pay the legal bills for Guidepost and other organizations. And so the SBC has spent, not because of regular lawsuits, because that's covered by insurance, but because of those actions, like $14 million. So they've depleted their reserves.
Okay.
So one group is saying the SBC has not done enough to deal with sex abuse. One group is saying, hey, we're doing the best we can. And one group is saying, hey, you have recklessly spent money. And so you have, and then obviously I'm simplify that,
Yeah.
but that has just created division.
Yeah.
It's led to the decline of the cooperative program. It's led to depletion of reserves. It's led to the fact that, are we talking about this? It's led to the fact that this year the budget is going to involve $3 million in legal fees off the top from the $190 million, which basically takes from every entity. But the EC can't keep going without that.
Yeah.
They're trying to sell their building downtown, but unfortunately, like commercial buildings in Asheville are actually on a decline.
Yeah.
So it may not be the best time to do that. So the point is that has just created, I would say, not chaos, but tension.
Yeah, tension,
Yeah,
a very
for sure.
dark cloud over it all
Yeah.
because of the different groups and different opinions and different perceptions of how it all should be handled.
Yeah, the real financial implications that are ongoing is that people who were included in the guidepost report and some other things are suing for defamation of character.
Okay.
So alleged abusers.
Right.
And I think that the SBC will be, the executive committee, all those charges will be dropped or dismissed, whatever the legal term is. But they're paying legal fees to deal with it for right now.
Yeah, definitely.
Because people jump on those things.
So
You can Google Jennifer Lyell, you can Google Johnny Hunt, you can Google David Sills, and you can find out more that I don't want to accidentally be the one that reveals stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
anyway.
Okay. So with that, I mean, I think you might have hit on this already with the distrust that can bring a distrust of leadership whenever you're
Right.
dealing with money and where's it going and
Right.
all of that. Did you have anything else you wanted to speak to with that? Or
Yeah, there's a lot of target on the North American Mission Board.
Okay.
From not the public, but from pastors who feel like there's a lack of transparency in how money is being spent.
Yeah.
And yeah, I definitely think, and I do think that I'm waiting to see. This is one that I have. I don't think anybody's doing anything dishonest. I just think we're very transparent here at our church about how money's spent, and probably pretty detailed comparatively. And I think the SBC entities need to figure out how to be more detailed and forthright.
Right.
And you can't publish salaries because
right.
you know, and I don't know how many employees NAM has, but let's say we have 100 and you have two peers, they don't need to know if one's making more than the other. Like you can't do that, you know, but I do think some people will not be satisfied till they know how much Kevin Ezel makes, which is, you know, he makes a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, he does, you know, he has a lot of responsibility. But and a lot of business guys would say he doesn't make enough, and a lot of small church pastors would say he makes too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do think in general, so while we're not going that degree, we've got to figure out like how are we openly communicating financial information better.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
So
And anytime you talk about money, it's just all easy
It
and
invites
everyone
everyone's opinions, yes.
agrees and all that. So another thing that has come up recently has been women's roles in the church.
yes.
A lot of division on that.
Yep.
Yes.
And that will probably continue to be an issue
Right?
this year. So, yeah.
It will be an issue this year.
Till the end of time. Probably.
Yeah, you know, you can go back and listen to our episodes the last few years. You know, Rick Warren and
I can't remember names.
in Rick Warren when we were in Irvine in 2022, or not Irvine, Anaheim in 2022, right? Yeah. Basically, you know, was brought up that people wanted to get rid of them, and then the next year we voted them out in New Orleans in 2023 because they had a women teaching pastor. So there's that. Those things are typically being handled like in the SBC. If a church has a woman teaching pastor, they are being removed or they're withdrawing themselves. But there are those who want to define that better. And the problem, I get what they're saying, but the problem is, you know, we don't have any. We're conservative about who we call a pastor, even like guys. You know,
Right.
like, but so I agree theologically that women aren't the role of pastor, but for a long time, methodologically, people have used that term not the way the Bible means it. And so to just black and white say every church that has any female called pastor of any kind needs to be out has major implications.
Yeah.
And then there's those who women shouldn't speak at all on a Sunday. Well, we can debate that actually, you know, and so, but they say there shouldn't be. And we're just bigger. We're a lot. I'm not going to tell them in church because I'm going to do that for a trivia question in just a second.
Great.
But like, I know I'm talking a lot, but I mean, it's probably because I'm involved in this.
Right.
But the point is that just keeps being an issue that because it doesn't get resolved, I think creates more tension.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this before, but an issue complicating that even talking about this issue at the convention level is the fact that the Southern Baptist Convention is autonomous churches cooperating together.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, every church, because they are autonomous, is using this word. I mean, maybe they shouldn't be, but they are using labels and titles differently across the board. And we've talked about that, you know, in years past. So that complicates the issue in terms of what roles people have because people are using different language for those roles.
Yeah, I think, this gets to the last one, tribalism. You know, I think our culture is becoming more tribalistic where we find our tribe, and that's more nuanced and more niche than it has been historically. And the SBC has always kind of had that, but now everybody knows it because of Twitter and Instagram and all that. And so I think like the SBC has been big tent philosophy, and there are those who are challenging that.
Yeah.
Which I'm not saying who's right or wrong, but that has not been what the SBC is. We had a family leave our church recently, and it's just ultimately they want to be somewhere that's a little more focused in on theologically where they're at. And they probably should go to a church. But how come our church and their church, like I would say, could still be a part of the SBC together?
Yeah.
But a Methodist church, like we probably are going to struggle with teaching seminaries together and things like that.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that the line is being drawn. New lines are being drawn. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's what we're seeing played out in the public forum, you know.
Yeah. And then everybody wants to be the one that's saying their
Yeah.
tribe is right.
We're right.
So
Yes.
yeah.
Everyone thinks they're right.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we have a game.
Not
maybe.
really.
Okay, a question or two.
Great.
I just
But I
got
probably
to.
know nothing.
I'm just going to ask you guys a few SBC questions just to see how much
So
you know
SBC
about it.
trivia, if you will. Is this what this is?
Sure.
All right. I love trivia.
Yeah, more so just like interesting things. Okay. All right. So first, what are the two primary missionary organizations of the Southern Baptist Convention?
Okay, I know this. So you got this one.
NAM and IMB.
Yeah, what do they
Okay.
stand for, Kelly?
North American Missions Board
Yay.
and International Missions Board.
Yay.
Way to go.
Yay.
I learned something since working here, guys.
There you go.
Oh,
Just
okay.
kidding.
All right. Well, okay. This year, the Cooperative Program is celebrating a milestone anniversary. Do you know what anniversary that is?
125
I didn't think it was.
years.
No, I have no idea.
100.
100. It's
okay.
just 100.
Yeah, only
Oh,
in
wow.
1925
How
was
far we've
when.
come.
So Southern
right.
Baptists have existed before then.
Yeah.
Okay.
But in 1925 was when the Cooperative Program was started. So
Hey,
Wow.
look at that.
25.
where churches
Okay.
were like, we need
Are
to come
they
together.
like trying to play that up in marketing somehow?
Oh, God.
I'm sure. If every church will give 100% more. to-
100% more.
Okay. What year, though, was the SBC founded? It was before 1925.
Before?
1910 is in my mind, but that's
'cause
also
when
the
our
year.
church
The
started.
year, exactly. I was about to say that's because of this year. The actual SBC, man, this class was a long time ago in seminary. It's like 1875.
So think about why the SBC was started.
It goes back, so it's closer to the Civil War.
Wow. No idea.
Pre-Civil War, yeah, 1845.
45. Okay, there you
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
That's interesting.
There was
the issue
division
was
over could you still
slavery.
own slaves? Yeah, and the Southern Baptist Convention were Baptist churches
okay.
that thought it was okay to still own slaves.
How ironic.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, and there's obviously been lots of Baptist
Yeah.
leaders and conventions have said, yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think it was
There's
more.
hope. People
Yes,
can change.
that's right. People can change.
I think it was more
Institutions
nuanced
change.
than we're making it sound. I don't think all those churches were like, yeah, we should have slaves. I think some of them were just like, okay, as we figure this out,
Yeah.
you're just going to kick us out, if we still have slaves. But,
Yes.
I don't know. I wasn't
Wow.
alive in 1845, so I can't
Here we
speak to
are.
all that. But how many SBC congregations were there as of 2024? So ACP.
Is this
reporting.
global or just in
Yeah, this
the
is
US?
global.
Okay.
Global.
Oh, I don't know.
Didn't you say?
We're going to
What
go
did you say about
was-
16,000?
I was wrong what I said earlier.
20,000.
20,000?
Okay. 20,000.
46,000.
Oh, we were going too small. That's global.
46. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And those Baptists love to count like every group of two or three or more gathered. We're counting it.
Okay, and then who is the current president of the Southern Baptist Convention? I posted a picture with him on President's Day in case.
Really? Oh, you're going to post this, I don't know.
Jeff, I don't know how to say his last name.
No, that's the president of the EC.
Oh, okay. Then, I don't remember his name, but
Is it
I
Daniel
don't remember his
something?
name.
Daniel?
Daniel something?
No.
I had no
But
idea.
there was a Daniel who was the president of the Pastors Conference a couple years ago.
Okay.
His name is Clint Presley.
Presley, there you go.
He's a
There.
very sharp-dressed guy.
Yeah.
A good guy.
Thanks for your service, Clint.
Yeah, good guy. Okay.
Also my middle name.
All right. Here's a funny question. Why can't Baptist people go to dances? This is what AI says.
AI is
You're not
wrong.
supposed
We
to
can go to
dance.
dances, and some of us like it.
We do.
There was a prohibition against dancing because I'm sure it's related to alcohol somewhere, like prohibition and some kind of thing that was passed one time.
The three summaries is the potential for lust, association with unwholesome environments, just like, who dances, and distracting from God. Can't do anything that distracts from
Wow.
God.
Oh, man.
Yeah. But it does say that this is what AI thinks about us. And apparently young Sheldon dealt with this on an episode too.
Oh, that's
but,
funny.
Okay.
Father-daughter dances are an exception.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Toddler dancing.
Toddler
You don't have to stop your toddler from dancing.
Thank
when
goodness.
VeggieTales is
Okay.
on.
What is the age of accountability?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Toddler
And some
dancing.
forms of worship in the Baptist church.
Oh, wow. That's some
Oh.
liberty.
Yeah.
I don't think we do any of that.
Shoulders bounce.
What year did the SBC first publicly apologize for slavery? So remember, 1845, it was started because of slavery. Again,
I would say
not,
recent
yeah.
history. I don't
It was
know.
like in the 70s?
That might be generous. I don't know. I've got no
80s?
clue.
1995.
Okay,
Oh,
yeah. I was thinking it was more.
Took Rodney
recent.
King for us to apologize.
Man.
I think that happened around that. No, earlier 90s, yeah. By the way, the Southern Baptist Convention is the biggest Protestant denomination in the United States. The biggest body of Christians is,
Roman Catholic.
yeah, and then secondly. I appreciate that you say Roman Catholic because that needs to be emphasized.
That needs to be emphasized.
Because they're like, we're the Catholic Church. Like, no, you're the
Roman Catholic
Church.
Church. Catholic means universal church.
Yes, exactly. And the Orthodox would disagree with you.
Yes.
And so would other people. Okay.
Kelly's like,
All
y'all
this
are some
thing-
weeds I ain't never seen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go for it. It's
okay.
great.
Yeah, that's about it. We're good.
We're good.
There's your Baptist trivia
Yeah,
for the
that
day.
was not good. I forgot.
Interesting, though. Very interesting.
It is.
Yeah. It really is.
Next week we will talk about
The issues.
You'll be zooming in.
Zoom in from my
Okay.
hotel in Dallas and
Live
we will-
there on the scene.
live on the scene.
Yes.
You might see Steve Brennan in the background because he's going.
Okay.
You will be
so-
in a cowboy hat.
Don't think. you
Really?
will. No.
You gotta be. It's in Texas.
Oh, come on. I should have brought
yeah.
Justin.
Some boots.
Some boots.
He'd be dancing in
boots
his. He'd be line
I'd
dancing.
be
in
line. I would be.
He'd be
line.
like, I'm allowed if
There
I'm on
better
stage.
be line
just a little
dancing at the
bit.
SBC.
the Hotel
this
at the
year.
Omni. You know what the best?
It is
Only
culturally
toddlers.
insensitive if there is not line dancing at the SBC.
You know what the best perk of being on the executive committee is?
What?
So our church pays my way because our church can. You know, the EC members, if your church wouldn't normally send you, your cost is covered. But since our church normally sends me it, so we pay for this, so
Yeah.
no controversy. But on the day that the hotel's open, it is like crazy. Like you go in, like hotels open at 8, you go online, you're like 470th in line.
Oh, man.
But the EC just book they just book our hotels for
Oh,
us. So
okay.
again, I have to pay for it, but I get one
Yeah.
close to the convention and don't have to deal with that.
Very
mess.
Special privilege. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Well,
Man, in New
glad you
Orleans,
have
by the
those
time we
perks.
got there, we were like drenched in
Oh
sweat.
my
It was
goodness,
so hot. It was
that
like,
was a nice hotel, though.
It was a very nice hotel, but we
Yeah.
were like swimming through the air.
Yeah.
It was
Well,
so
it's going to be
muggy.
hot in Texas,
Yeah.
too. so-
But not that humid. New
Yeah,
Orleans
that's
is
true.
humid.
That's true.
Yeah.
We'll
The
got
food's
you.
better in New Orleans. So.
A good
Yeah.
cowboy hat will keep your face protected from the elements. So I'm just saying, there's going to be a lot of cowboy hats. There's just going to be
You
a
need to
lot
tell
of
Chris
people.
Please
Tessiner,
take some
if you know
pictures if
Chris.
you see any cowboy hats at the,
Okay.
Yes.
at the
I will.
convention. Send
I will
to
do
us.
that.
All right, that sounds good. Well, if you have any questions that you want us to answer on Boggy Talk, you can email me at kelly@churchonbayshore.org. And thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys next time.
Pew, pew, pew. That's the guns shooting off the Texas.
Thanks for listening to Boggy Talk. We are so glad you joined in the conversation. Go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss a beat.